Naima. And now we move on to our next session. Mobile computing, as you all know, is all around us. And it's not just only when we use smartphones to connect with friends and family across countries, but also in ticketing systems on buses and trains, buying food, from mobile vendors, watching videos, and so on and so on. As a result, mobile computing systems must rise to the demand. The needs of mobile customers can outstrip the infrastructure's capacities and result in degraded performance. Researchers must develop the tools, middleware, and applications that can help with these quality of service issues. Moderating this session is Chairman of Intaj, Jawad Abbasi, as he will be joined with Nami Zarin-Ghalam, Ihab Hannawi, Ahmed Hanande, Jean-Francois Thomas, and Paul Lyons. Peter Lyons.
Stuck at a press conference. He's on his way now, joining us. Welcome, Jean-Francois. And we're waiting for Abu Karim. Where Abu Karim?
For you. Have you seen the new one? No. This is the latest edition. I think it's on actually.
I don't have a phone.
But it's all the policy positions and guidelines and everything.
So we're waiting for our final speaker. I think he was delayed at another press conference. Apologies for this. Ahmed Hanande, CEO of Zain Jordan. I think it'll be another 1 or 2 minutes, and we'll just wait.
Jean-Francois is going to be like, come on, let's just start. Let's just go. It's okay. Friendly competition here, folks. It's friendly competition. Do we have anyone from the Zain team here? Can anyone send a heads up to those guys? Okay, great. Very good.
No, I think get Francois. Get Francois.
Jean-Francois, s'il vous plaît.
We'll start things off, and Ahmed will join us in a few minutes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It gives me great pleasure to kickstart this panel and welcome our esteemed panelists. From right to left, Mr. Ihab Hannawi, CEO of Omnia, Mr. Peter Lyons of GSMA, he's based in Dubai, and Mr. Jean-Francois Thomas, CEO of Orange Jordan. And we're waiting Mr. Ahmed Hamad for Mr. Ahmed Hanan, the CEO of Zain Jordan, who will join us when he arrives, inshallah. Peter came from Dubai bearing gifts. He gave us this red book here, not to be confused with the manifesto. It's called a Mobile Policy Handbook, an insider's guide to the issues, and it's published by GSMA, the Association of Mobile Operators globally. And I'm going to kickstart the discussion with a broad question to Peter. Basically, all what we've talked about today, this morning, requires a robust, continuously expanded, up-to-date, mobile broadband infrastructure. And I want Peter to shed light from the GSMA perspective, the industry perspective, on what it takes, what is needed, what's the best optimal scenario for continued investments in mobile broadband infrastructure that makes it available to the economies and to the knowledge economies, and that makes it a good generator of taxes to governments, as well as yielding good returns on investment to infrastructure operators. So I wish the government was here.
And
But-
regulatory. It's so important to have somebody represent.
So we will rely on you on tweeting what is being said with mentioning the Ministry of ICT.
Thank you, Jawad. I think perhaps some in the government might be allergic to me because every time I turn up, they disappear. So, at any rate, thank you everyone for your attention. Thank you to Intaj and to my distinguished panelists as well. And I just want to say what you guys have pulled together here is very impressive. And saying that as somebody coming from the GSMA, which puts on the Mobile World Congress, I think as far as content, as far as the format and the agenda, you guys have really done an excellent job. So if we're talking about infrastructure and networks, and we're talking about investment in those networks to maintain the level of, to maintain a certain level of service, a certain expectation of mobile data growth, you can't have investment without a return on investment. So if we put everything in the context of return on investment, it makes all the other issues really, I think, fall into place very nicely. So for the operators in Jordan, let's be honest, the business environment is quite difficult, actually. Jordan has the distinction of being the world champion in the level of taxes levied on the mobile industry. Almost 50% of every dinar that is spent goes to taxes. Now, I understand that there's a lot of good things that the tax money is spent on. There's a lot of geopolitical pressures requiring additional revenue, requiring IMF loans and these kind of things. That aside, I think that the environment for the operators is challenging and one that it's not clear where putting additional investment will get additional return. Another very important issue for the mobile industry is spectrum. Now, spectrum has been made available in bits and pieces. I think the key for spectrum is that spectrum is not in of itself the target of investment. If the operator is spending their budget on paying for spectrum rights, what's actually left to invest in upgrading the network and deploying new base stations? Upgrading, if we're talking about LTE, it means changing to an all IP core. This is a very big change to the network. If you've spent all of your budget on paying for spectrum rights, there is nothing left over to actually invest. So I think that the operators in this market have done a very good job despite these circumstances, but I think from our perspective, there needs to be a more government representation in the room when we're having these discussions. It can't just be us preaching to ourselves. So from that perspective, GSMA is working with the operators on a task force specifically looking at taxation, and we are planning to present to the government within the next few months specific recommendations on reducing certain taxes affecting mobile, affecting consumers, what would be the resulting growth that would trigger, and actually showing that in some way these would be revenue neutral for the government. So we're not telling the government go and remove these taxes and that's it. We're saying actually that there's a revenue neutrality, but you have to look beyond the end of the financial year or the end of the quarter.
Thank you, Peter. I'm going to take the discussion a bit away from taxes because I know it's a very hot topic for Ihab and Jean-Francois, and I don't want to push in that direction too much. So I'll take it a different angle a bit. Everybody remembers 10 years ago or 12 years ago where the question was, are you with Fastlink or are you with Mobilecom? Or are you with Omnia or Orange or Zain now? But we all agree that for the most part now, especially amongst young users, they ask whether you're an iPhone user or an Android user, whether you're an iOS user or a Galaxy, or it's more towards handsets rather than the underlying network of the service. And that's where I want to ask Ihab and Jean-Francois. There's a threat to your relevance now. Basically, as telecom operators, you have the OTT players having strong relationship. Apple knows a lot more about the iPhone user than the network operator. The network operator knows their location and know their monthly bill, but Apple has their credit card details, their mobile app use history, their preferences, and so on. And so the question to both of you, the same question is, are you fearing that you will lose your relevance, and what are you doing to remain relevant 10 years from now to your consumers? Thank you.
Thank you, Jawad, and thank you all for being here, and actually in a very critical time of the day. And I hope that the session will have more people to listen, not to our pain, as what Peter mentioned, but to share with you what do we need to do in order to answer Jawad's question. And honestly, looking at the two panels that we have, this panel and the one before us, the previous one, a very young, energetic app developers, entrepreneurs, that they are focusing on creating an edge or creating a business that will make a difference in their domain. And honestly, they don't think, those companies, those entrepreneurs, they don't think of having a strong infrastructure that will support their business model. And exactly the difference between an old men sitting, talking about our problems of high taxes, talking our problems of losing revenues to the OTTs, talking about our pain, and the rest of the ecosystem. They are just focusing on what they need to do in order to achieve or make a difference in their domain. And this is the issue of the telecom operators. If they don't started, I would say, a year or two of changing the business model that they are working with, then they have a problem. If we look at the digital development that's happening as we speak, it is changing big times. If you look at there is some companies that they are following and some companies they are lagging behind. I will give example away from the telecom. If we talk about, for example, Kodak and Fujifilm, they were two film makers, and both of them, they were monopoly almost in their countries. Those companies, they had the same market position in leading at that era of time. The company who lagged behind in changing their business model and going into the more of the digital life, they have broke, they stopped. And this is how Fujifilm had a leapfrog, and now they are leading in producing LCD films, in producing cameras probably for the phones, while Kodak, they are still lagging behind. And this is exactly what will happen to the telecom companies if they don't change their business model. Second point is the consumer behavior. Now as we speak, all of us, we want to be connected all the time, everywhere, and having a total different behavior, real-time behavior. Now, if we want to buy something, probably still it's not kicking in our part of the world, but if you look at the advanced market, it's a real-time connection in buying services, products, research, getting to the health, to the media. So the consumer behavior has changed dramatically that pushing the telecom operator in keeping building the infrastructure. The third point of the behavior is the corporate business world, where the cloud now is the name of the game, and the companies who will be lagging behind in investing in the cloud will be will face a major problem in the coming in the future. So to answer you, Jawad, we are facing a major challenge. But to be honest with you, if we don't change our business model, not today, actually last year or the year before, we will keep coming to conferences, crying in front of everyone that taxes is going down and we cannot, or going up or what have you. So there are a lot of opportunities lies between the new era of digital development, of the new era of the consumer behavior that changes, and it will change dramatically in the coming 3 to 5 years. It will give the telecom operators the chance to create new revenues and new offers and services in their portfolio. So telecom operators has 3 strategies to follow. Building a very strong network, very big pipe, and keep investing in that. The second one, probably creating some services, some offers, like Verizon, for example. They have done this on the billing, on some analytical to the media or the live media thing. But the most important thing, which is the toughest among them, is creating and developing applications, cloud services that will create an extremely healthy revenues, but it needs investments. So the equation, it's not as simple as it looks. So we need to invest. What Peter have mentioned, that the government, and any government in the world, having unrealistic spectrum prices and unrealistic taxes will push the telecom operators to slow down that move of getting to that era, and this will be the main, they will be the main losers before the telecom operators. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jean-François?
Yes, I 100% agree, as usual, with what Ihab said, but I will maybe say it a little differently. That shows that today we are facing challenges, but I would say that we are facing excellent challenges, because the worst things would be that people don't use what we are providing. And today, the demand is there. So for an industry, not having demand is a catastrophe, but having a growing demand and a fast-growing demand is the best position you can ever be. So we have to face this demand and we have to deliver. And I think that, you know, going back to the basics, we should, as operator, deliver the best services, the best bandwidth, because bandwidth is the name of the game, the best latency, the best coverage, the best quality of service. And for that, there is, of course, the rule of excellence, operational excellence, but we also have the rule of investment. And today we know that without the investment, we cannot cope with this demand. You were talking, Jawad, about OTTs, and I think that OTT should be blessed because they have developed the demand. Apple should be blessed as well. I think that the day Apple introduced the iPhone, people start understanding what they can do with the data mobile application. After years of WAP, web, things that were not working, I mean, that were not working. And they came with the smartphone, and this increased the appetite, the demand. So we should bless those people. Of course, they are interesting or in taking the value out of the market, right? We know that. But I still believe that we, as operator, are at the center of the game, at the center of the equation. So if we deliver what we have to deliver the proper way, in 10 years we'll still be there. Because without us, nothing can happen. After that, we have to be We have to be clever and make the network a source of value through continuous evolutions. And what Ihab said, that we have to change, we have to change. But you know, I'm between my colleagues, I'm the older one. So I've been in the business for the newest license. No, you're the newest license. I'm the older one personally, I mean. And also in this country, Jordan Telecom was there a long time ago. And we, you know, change was a rule of the game for the past 30 years. When I started working for this industry, I was an employee of the Minister of Post, of the French Minister of Post and Telecommunication. We were an administration. And, you know, we were voice only. We were fixed only. There was nearly no corporate business. There was no cloud. I mean, all of that arrives, and we were able in the past to adapt and to survive and to do more than survive. So we have to deliver. We have to, as you said, play the good role in the new ecosystem. And this is probably the most difficult part of the equation. I can talk about Orange. Worldwide, we try many things. We try to enter into the content business. We bought channels. We bought movie productions house. I think this was a bit too far away from our core business. So, but I believe that if we stick to what we know how to do the best, which is operating networks, and expand a little bit, there are room for getting value from, I don't know, we're talking about big data. Big data, we have the data. I mean, so big data is something where there's probably a lot of opportunities for us. And before I finish, I have to say it. So we have to do our job, but the governments have to do their job as well. And Peter and Ihab mentioned it. I think government should not take too much value out of the sector and keep part of the value so that we can keep investing and provide the best services.
Thank you, Jean-François. Welcome, Ahmed Hanande. I have a question for Abu Karim, CEO of Zain. I have the nice mobile policy handbook from the GSMA, and the chapter 1 is about mobile initiatives, connected living, mobilizing the Internet of Things, and under that broad title there's mobile automotive, mobile health, mobile learning, and smart cities. So Ahmed, which of these 4 are more pressing in Jordan, or you would focus on in the Jordanian context and the regional Arab context at large? Again, they're mobile automotive, mobile health, mobile learning, and smart cities. Or would you target them all together? Kind of your thoughts on how best to target these initiatives and potentials.
Thank you, Jawad. Thank you, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I'm sorry being late. That's my habit, my bad habit. I'm unable to change it. But I'm trying. It's getting better. And I cannot stop myself saying a nice haircut, Ihab. You look younger. I think Ihab started the transformation as well. So, and to start with that, yes, we are living a transformation. We're living a transformation all across the sectors in the country. Which one is a priority for us as telecom? To be honest, they're all priority. Today, we'll have to understand, of course, my people, my team here will smile when I say that because they have heard this from me like a million times over the last 1 month, but I'll say it again. Sorry, guys, we'll have to hear it again. Today, we have 2 worlds that we're living. We have the real world and we have the online world. And I pity you, most of the people in this room, they spend the material time of their days online, which is becoming a life to live for socializing, for trading, to watch TV, to learn, to get access to knowledge, even to get access to people. So the online is becoming, it's developing its own lifestyle. And that will affect all sectors in the country. Today, as telecom, we'll have to decide. In the real world, there is an infrastructure required. That's roads, hospitals, electricity, drainage system, and so on and so forth, universities. On the online world, it's different. The infrastructure required is different. The part that we have to make it available is the internet infrastructure, the different layers of internet, providing the speed and the latency, providing the capacity according to the requirement of the consumer, according to the requirement of the online world. But at the end of the day, is this enough? Providing the internet is like giving people the ticket to go from offline to online and then come back offline. So we live with them the real world, we live with them the offline world, but on the online, we only send them there, and then once they are online, we lose contact with them. So what we need to do as telecom is to understand, and because this is the transformation. Medical is transforming. It started already. Education, although we are too late, but started. There are certain educational institutions who started the transformation process going into e-learning. So there, the transformation already started. As telecom, we have to understand what do we need to be on the online world. An internet capacity and speed provider, or an enabler as we have been for the sectors all over the years. And this is what we're trying to build right now. This will require partnership with everybody. There is no priority. Each sector is running alone. If you ask me which is more important for Jordan, okay, now we need it immediately, I would say learning. Okay, because I'll think of my kids. And then I'll choose education straight away. But in reality, each sector has its own priority, and each sector need to have the automation, need to go online as fast as possible. And what we need first, and the biggest priority for us, is the government, and not the e-government, because e-government is an old terminology for automation of government. Today we have to speak about the smart government. Today we have to have everything on this device that we are holding in our pocket. I can do everything from here. And this is the role that we need to play as telecom operators, not only to build the networks, of course. This is our core responsibility as telecom operators in each and every country. But we have another role, we have the responsibility of defining our role in supporting the ecosystem of transformation. Okay. As much as we are going through transformation, every other sector is going through transformation. We either partner with them today, or will be only the highway that takes people from the offline to the online, and then that's it. So today we have to focus on all sectors and all initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas, I have a big team over here.
Ihab has a point to add, but in the meantime, if you would think of questions that you'd like to ask to the panelists, please think of them now, because we'll open for discussion right after Ihab's interjection here. Ihab, you had a point on... Okay, sorry.
I think this one works, okay. So Ahmed's intervention, I think, is perfect and actually gives a good transition to some of the things, some of the specifics I want to present to you for your consideration and for further discussion. Mobile operators are not OTTs. Mobile operators have certain assets that the OTTs do not. The OTTs have certain assets that the mobile operators do not. The mobile operators need to leverage the assets that they have. That is basically trust between them and the subscriber. That is the value of being local. That is the SIM as a front line for authentication and security, just to name a few. So there's a couple areas that the mobile operators can play a very important role in this region. All of you, just think of how many different passwords you have today just to access basic services, whether it's your email or your bank or your iTunes account or something like this. We've done studies, and we've actually seen that the average person has somewhere between 15 to 20 different passwords. Some of them they're not using all the time, but that's a lot of passwords that people have to remember. And you run out of the birthdays and the names of your children and these kind of things, so what are you going to do? Well, the mobile operators have the advantage in that you carry the device, you carry the SIM on the device with you everywhere. That device can provide the authentication that you are who you say you are. The digital world depends on interactions, whether they're social, whether they're commercial, whether they're intellectual, financial. Those interactions are built on trust. Operators provide the trust. The trust requires authentication. So the device you carry in your hand is a device that can provide a better authentication than you holding your driver's license and saying, you see that, that's me, but I was really skinny then. So really it's me. There's so much improvement to be done on the existing way that we do these kind of things. That's tied to mobile money, mobile payments. And we're not talking about mobile banking. We're talking about people able to send money, to send value to others, to pay for bills, to receive salary payments, people who are not necessarily even banked, people who do not have credit cards.
To receive government subsidies.
Receive everything. The mobile device can provide you the gateway, the key to the digital world. And operators have the resources and the assets to leverage that. They just haven't done it until now, but I think the time for the operators is in front, and we as the GSMA, with our 800 members, are pulling the industry together to agree on these standards, interoperability, to move the entire industry forward. So I think there is hope, and it just requires us realizing, having confidence in what we have.
What that two stories I keep repeating. My son is 9 years old. So whenever, no, now he's 9. So whenever we have an argument at home and we fight over something, and no, this is black, no, it's white, no, it's black, I saw it, no, it's white, I heard about it. The answer from his side comes in as, stop this and just Google it. Okay. And I remember when I went to the dentist, when we finished, he said, I want to eat. I said, where do you want to eat? He said, there is a chicken restaurant over. I said, how did you know that there is a chicken restaurant over here? He said, I checked it, and the rating is 4.5. Apparently, it's a good food. So let's go and eat. It's in the same building where we are. This is the generation we're expecting. It's not only my son, this is a whole generation. This is the generation when they grow up, they are expecting us, the older generation, to prepare this world for them to be as easy as Google it, okay, or go to iFood and check it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay.
Actually, I want to add one comment from, as a telecom, since we are telecom and Peter definitely represents the telecom in the world. The issue of the building the infrastructure of the telecom operators, and with the massive increase of data usage, which expected, and every report actually for the past 6 months or a year is changing with adding more access on the how many multiples the data will be growing. Today I was talking with one of my colleagues and said, we expect to grow that 7%, now it's 20%. We are talking different jumps in months. But the latest report, I think, issued by Cisco, and we have a good representative from Cisco here in this room, that they expect that data will have 5 multiples in the region in the coming 3 years probably. And I believe it will be probably 10 times. The issue that the telecom operator are facing is the available infrastructure to cater for that huge demand of data. If we look 3 years back, no one was archiving his photos, his picture, his files on somewhere in the cloud. It was actually a taboo. We couldn't share one photo with any other device beyond our control. So that huge jump needs a lot of investment at the operator side. And the network, as said, it has to be a multi-layer of networks. Mobile network alone will not be enough. Fixed network alone will not be enough. The fiber will not be enough. The LTE will not be enough. Building all these elements, layers of network, and with the very scarce resources of spectrum when it comes to the wireless business, it is a big challenge for the telecom operators to cater for that huge jump of data. And this is the question. Forget about as I said, all the entrepreneurs, the app developer, they are just focusing on creating that one. What Amazon have made, they didn't think of any telecom operator. They started to do the e-book, and they succeeded in that venture that they started. And now they are going on the e-cloud and what have you. So it is the responsibility of the telecom operators to create that. And God knows where it will be ending. This is the challenge. Not to mention even the business part. The big corporations, if you talk to any business company or corporate company 5 years before, telling them that come and we will host your service in our data centers, it was a taboo. Now we are talking about mission critical systems like the ERP, like the HRMS, like the billing, like the any other mission critical system, that now it's so easy for those corporates to come and accept that. And why is that? And this is actually something that I want to stress, that the trust between the local companies and the telecom operators in managing the relation comparing to the regional cloud, this is an advantage to the local operators to jump on that one. But they need to invest, of course, on their infrastructure. So there is a potential, huge revenues. There is a challenge, and it has been the case always. It has been the case always that the challenge is always going. The issue is of the return on investment, and this is another thing when it comes to the spectrum prices that we have mentioned.
We have a question from the audience. Do we have roaming mics? طب تعال خد الروم
Room with Omnia.
Omar Jabari, Senior Research and Financial Analyst at the Arab Advisors Group. My question is, you're losing money from OTT, or a percentage of your revenues to OTT. What do you think, how would you, let's say, get a slice of this revenue back from OTT? And the other question, why aren't you investing a lot in M2M services? Thank you.
Thank you. Invest in what? Machine to machine, M2M. Who would like to take this question? Jean-François? Okay, Abu Karim.
When it comes to losing money to OTT, we lose money to the tax department more than what we lose to OTT. So
They are OTT as well.
Today the OTT is the last of our worries, to be honest. Okay, because there we lose, if we lose one, there we lose one X10.
No, but government, they classified OTTs, by the way.
But OTT applications are data users at the end of the day, and we'll have to, and this is what we said, it's a transformation. OTT is part of the transformation, and we have to be ready for that. Machine to machine is a replacement for us. Today, we face a challenge from the OTT because we depend on selling a SIM card for voice and data on a mobile, or even a router or a dongle for the data internet connectivity. And the transformation is to diversify our services that depends on the internet connectivity or the GSM mobility to create more revenues. And that started already. Now, today we have vehicle tracking, we have surveillance cameras, we have smart TV screens. So at the end of the day, and you don't need, sometimes it's not your investment. Yani, what you need to invest is on your strategic partnerships and alliances with companies who are providing these solutions, with the startups who can come up with this solution, with entrepreneurs who can come up with certain ideas that you can implement on your system at the end of the day. As I said, lifestyle is transforming. Lifestyle is becoming online. You can be part of that lifestyle. The more you are engaged with this lifestyle, the more you can make revenues. And I'll tell you one thing, economically speaking, the income allocated for telecom, traditional services of telecom, is not increasing rather than declining. And this is more dangerous than the OTT itself. So today, if you earn 100 JDs and you have to allocate 10 to telecom, okay, 10 for electricity and gas, 10 for transportation, 20 for education, 10 for food, okay, you will not be able to increase the 10 for telecom on the account of the other necessities that you have in your life. So what I need to do, I need to get involved into the 90 JDs and don't think about maximizing the 10 JDs. If I can go into the 90 JDs and save him the 2 JDs on the transportation out of the 10 he pays, I'm eligible to take one of that. Then he saves one in net. And this is what we need to think of.
Thank you, Abu Karim. We have a question here. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Ahmed Rami from the Ministry of ICT in Jordan. My question is to actually Francois Thomas. He mentioned about the big data, and we know that big data is a big issue. Now, my question is whether big data is applicable in Jordan when there's a kind of lacking for the privacy protection law, and as well, we know big data need a lot of the know-how, expertise, and a certain infrastructure that is not available in Jordan, supercomputers and different processes, and as well, we have different techniques and algorithms. So the know-how is actually exists in the developed countries comparing with Jordan. So to what extent big data is applicable in Jordan? Certainly that the open data as well, as a government approach, is not exist at the moment.
Thank you. Jean-François?
I think that's a very good question. I can answer that on different ways. First, that's true that the privacy issue, which is something which is, if you look at the debate around big data in Europe, and probably in the States, but in Europe we are very sensitive to privacy. This is on top of the agenda. And we, as Orange, as a group, the first things we did was to sign a charter of good conduct, just to be sure that what is the most precious things we have, which is the trust of our customers, we are not going to monetize that at the demand of the customers themselves. And that's true that in Europe, the framework for privacy and for personal data confidentiality is there, or it's been built. And I would advise Jordan not to reinvent things, but look at the best practice and have a framework that would put everybody more comfortable. The second thing you mentioned is about the infrastructure for doing that, and I think that big data can start small. I will take just one example where we were the first in the Orange Group worldwide to use one data we have from our customers to maximize the value we are getting from something else. We are spending a lot of money in advertising, especially billboards. And there is one way to know if our customers are really seeing the billboards, is just to check where the SIM are moving. And at a certain time of the day, but what volume of people are really looking at our billboard, and then negotiate better pricing or saying that, okay, we don't take this one because nobody's looking at it. So it's just a small example of what we can do with anonymized data, of course. I think that a lot of companies will find very interesting way of using data, and telecom operators are providing, are using a lot of data. We have also the credit card number of some of our customers, but not looking into that, just anonymized data. We are doing very interesting things in Africa with pandemics, prevention through this type of data. I really don't see why Jordan would not follow or even lead in some sectors, because big data is not only big money, it's also big savings for a country.
Thank you, Jafaswa. We have a question from the nosebleed section of the auditorium.
Hello, my name is Yaman Sakka. I'm not here to bash or praise any particular carrier over the other. But there's a small story. I live at the very beginning of Airport Road, and I had a DSL connection of 0.7 megabits. And then we went into another provider and literally celebrated with my wife to getting to 5 megabit over an ETTH. Now we look at the stats and they tell us the average is 21 megabit. And you fly to a town in the middle of nowhere in Europe, you get 60 or 100. Now, I know a couple of carriers are working on getting fiber to a neighborhood or two. But at this forum, we're talking about strategy. We're talking about getting an entire population into being creative and disruptive. You need to get to those speeds, be at a town, Irbid, in the middle of nowhere. So my specific question is, can anybody give us a realistic outlook on when will we get somewhere, since you guys are the ones who are rolling out the infrastructure? Thank you.
Joad, if I could just maybe...
Go ahead, Yalla, Peter.
I just wanted to say
Peter's mother is Peter is half Jordanian. His mother is Jordanian, so he's entitled to this answer.
Yes, I think the issues that you're describing can be attributed to the difficulty in rolling out infrastructure, the difficulty in being able to get authorizations and licenses and approvals to even put fiber in the ground, the difficulty in negotiating with every municipal leadership what you should pay in terms of some kind of fee to access particular sites. Countries where you have the 21 megabytes per second average, those countries, the right-of-way deployment is seamless. The process for getting approvals is efficient. I think ultimately the slower speeds are a reflection of the slower speeds of bureaucracy, which need to be addressed for networks to be rolled out.
Yeah, would you like to add?
Actually, this is the part of the slow of the procedure. I think this is not the main question. You were saying, guys, when we're going to have the three operators having 100, whatever, on the wireless 30, 40, 100, and on the fiber or what have you, the highest speed wherever you go. This is a very legitimate request from any citizen in any country. But things has to be balanced. If you are a shareholder in any of a telecom company anywhere, you cannot expect to invest in everything and getting no return. You cannot invest and having an average ARPU of $7 and building a network that's worth 2 billion or 1 billion. I'm talking about the three operators. So things should be balanced from the investment, the need, and the return on that investment. So I believe that, honestly, and I hate to say that, but what we are doing in the country, when it comes to the pricing of the spectrum, when it comes to the taxes, when it comes to the electricity of the spectrum, anything related to making the return so hard for any shareholder to accept, And we are expecting from a consumer point of view, and I'm a consumer at the end of the day, having a seamless 100 meg speed wherever I go in the country, and I don't want to pay more than 7 JDs. So there is a balance. I mean, so I believe that if the spectrum of the LTE, for example, was reasonably priced, or the 3G that has been delayed for at least 3 years, back in 2011, 12, and 10, 11, and 12, asking for $70 million for 10 megahertz on 21, we would have been in a totally different situation as a telecom companies, and you wouldn't have such a comment from a consumer point of view. So I believe if things is not balanced, you will be always complaining as a consumer, not you as a person, that there is something missing and there is something much better in other countries. So we need, in order to understand the position of the telecom shareholders, the consumer, and the government, if we put them at the same level and having a balanced equation, then the three of us will be happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ihab. We have time for 2 more questions, one from the gentleman to my left.
Hi, I'm Mohammed Qandil. I'm from Zajr Startup. I want to ask Mr. Peter about the One API standard. You published the standard which will benefit both the operators and the developers and third-party applications. How would you encourage the operators to pick up such a standard and to expose their services to the internet? And thank you.
Thank you. Peter. Is the answer in the little red book here?
It is in the little red book. I also wanted to say the question on privacy is on page 190 in the little red book. So
it's called Mobile Policy Handbook, an Insider's Guide to the Issues, October 2014, GSMA.
Yes, and it's online as well, gsma.com/public policy/handbook. With regards to the One API, the GSMA view is that for technology to really be affordable, it has to be at scale. For it to be at scale means you have to have global adoption. To have global adoption as an industry, we need to have an agreed set of APIs, an agreed set of sort of interfaces between the operators to be able to use the same kind of specifications for authentication, identity, to use the same kind of specifications for embedded SIM, to allow for the over-the-air provisioning. Some of these things have to touch all operators through these APIs, and in a way, it's just to be able to allow these things to have a global scale, and like the GSM technology, it's all about scale, and you have to remove the barriers to scale, and interoperability is key to that.
السلام عليكم. أنا اسمي أحمد صبري. أنا CEO الديجيتال ماركتينج آرتس من مصر. الحقيقة أنا عاوز أشكر جواد على التنظيم الرائع للإيفنت. والحاجة الثانية I'm doing business in Jordan. بس الفكرة في عندي مشكلة رهيبة جدا اسمها أسعار الرومينج. سعر الرومينج. الرومينج للداتا للواحد ميجا ب 11 دينار. اوكي يو كان ايماجين. لا 110 جنيه مصري. تمام. بير 1 ميج. الحاجه الثانيه في المكالمات انا حتى لما بعمل لوكال كول بما يقرب 2 دينار. اوكي. النهارده الاردن بلد سياحي يعني في اتجاهات ان هي تبقى بلد سياحي قوي جدا على المنطقه وبتاتراكتوا البيزنس بشكل قوي جدا. احنا we cannot live without internet. اوكي. مش الطبيعي ان انا اول ما اخش الاردن ان انا لازم احط شريحه اردنيه عشان ابتدي اعيش اكمل حياتي. على الجانب الثاني I'm leaving to دبي. انا بدفع في ال1 ميج هناك يمكن 30 قرش مثلا او اكتر. شكرا جزيلا.
Who would like to take this question? Abu Karim.
I believe you have to ask this question to your operator. Because the pricing of the roaming, it depends on the destination you're going to and the origin you're coming from. We might have special roaming rates to certain countries. We wouldn't have it across the world. We might have it in 50 countries We might not have it in the rest of the countries. So the pricing of the roaming, it all depends on yesterday, for example, I was with a friend of mine who's holding an Egyptian line. He was in Paris. He had to pay 33,000 Egyptian pounds because they missed to send him a message that you exceeded the bundle. Now you have to come and pay $10,000. So the pricing of the roaming depends on three factors. Our pricing scheme as a local operator holding off your SIM, I can answer the questions related to the Jordanian SIM, not to the Egyptian SIM, because I cannot tell you how much I charge them per megabyte to Egypt. You'll have to ask them, how much do they pay us as a cost per megabyte? How much I pay Dubai is different than how much I pay London, rather than how much I pay France at the end of the day. So it depends on the costing that we pay to the other operators. And when a country sells us the megabyte for 20 JDs, we sell them the megabyte for 20 JDs. If they sell it free, we sell it free. If they sell it for one, we sell it for one. So this is an operator-to-operator transaction. So it depends on the pricing between operators. So my costing is important. The pricing at the origin, where in your case it's Egypt, and at the end of the day, the options in the country are going to. Okay, Jordan, we're trying to spread Wi-Fi all across Jordan right now so we can make it easier in touristic places, in highly congested places, either residentially or commercially. So in Dubai, I depend on the Wi-Fi, although I work in a telecom operator, but I go on Wi-Fi because Dubai is a Wi-Fi enabled city. We're trying to reach the stage where we are a Wi-Fi enabled Jordan. That's why we're having Wi-Fi hotspots all across the country. And just to answer on the speed, the Saqqa, if I'm not mistaken, I'll just need to show you the light at the end of the tunnel. You'll get there, so don't worry. We were late in 3G, we are late on 4G, okay, but the progress that we are seeing in the country from everybody, at the end of the day, it's not, I'm not talking about my network or the network of others, but at the end of the day, we are gonna reach the speed that you need to do business. What we are looking for, we reach the speed where you can automate your home, where you can automate your vehicle, where you can do your governmental transactions, download your applications and upload your pictures. So we are working very hard, and believe it or not, all of us, we're working so hard to provide you with the speed and the alternative options where you can reach the speed that you want in every single area in Jordan, and not only in a specific areas. We don't concentrate on specific areas. We try to cover the whole country.
Thank you very much. One final interjection, I'm afraid we're out of time, from Dr. Samia Milham from the World Bank Group.
Thank you very much for your excellent thoughts. My question is on the role of government. You all said there's a big contrast between life as we know it and the digital life. And you probably feel the same towards government services. So in your view, how can mobile operators who are so powerful, who can create applications just like that, how can you partner with government to create this virtuous circle of mobile services on the mobile platform and simplify procedures? Thank you.
I'll take the lead on this because I like talking about my government. So, because I'm the youngest, they're old, they're scared. I'm too young to be scared. For us, we're open for that. We're dying for it. We're so thirsty for it. We can support any initiative that can get us there, because that means money for us. Okay. How can we do it? Okay. We have to have the same attitude from the other end. So you either put us in the ministry seat, okay. So you take us to manage the ministry or the governmental decision related to the e-government, or we sit and agree, and we have to go into e-government, we have to go into smart government. And this is what we said a while ago. So at the end of the day, the ball is in that court. We're fighting so hard to get there. We're trying and we're pushing so hard. We see positive moves at the moment. We signed an agreement, although I sound criticizing, but at the end of the day, we signed an agreement, okay, to develop smart government applications that's going to be announced in cooperation with the Ministry of Telecommunication and other parties, where we'll open the door for entrepreneurs and startups to develop smart government solutions that will be supported to be implemented in those governmental institutions that will generate revenue to the entrepreneur, make the public life so easy. That's a positive move forward. It's not enough. We need a strategy, to be honest. We need a direction. We need a plan. And I agree with you, it has to be in full cooperation with the government. I'll have to be fair with the government at the same time. We went through difficult times. Everybody knows economical crisis across the world. The situation, Jordan is living in the middle of an area where destabilization is, we're surrounded by destabilization. The deficit of the budget, the number of refugees and the requirements for that, those economical challenges affected the priorities of the country over the last 4 and 5 years. We wouldn't blame a government for that. We know the challenges were so hard. Maybe if we are in their shoes, we would have taken the same fast decisions. But the message what we're saying right now, it's time to sit, evaluate what happened. We have a good track record of good and bad decisions. We need to see the positives and negatives of all the decisions. Take out the bad decisions, correct them. It's never late to do the corrective action plan. And believe, the solution for unemployment is in the automation, is in the online world. It's not going to kill jobs. It's going to create opportunities. It's going to create virtual markets, virtual schools, virtual training centers. So what we need to do is just to sit back and have a heart-to-heart discussion and admit the mistakes, either from our end or from the other end, and agree on a long-term plan. We hope, and fingers are crossed, we hope we'll be able to do that. As I said, there is a positive move going on after passing the critical situation that the country has passed from the economical aspect in specific. Hopefully we'll overcome that, and once we overcome that, everything else will follow.
Thank you very much. We run out of time. We only have time to thank our panelists and thank the audience. I believe there's a short coffee break.
I think we're going to skip. We'll skip
I think
the
in
coffee
order to continue the program, we're going to continue into the next session.
Okay. Thank you very much, and pleasure to be here again.
Jawad and panelists, thank you very much. And yeah, as mentioned, we are not going to have a coffee break right now because we'd like to get you out of here on time. People have been kind of going in and out. Sorry, to get their coffee.
Where are you?